Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Digital Academy. I hope you're doing well. And this one is a kind of more serious one, I think. Um, Although I haven't seen it, but this one's looking at this topic of battling and overcoming depression, something that lots of us deal with, and especially with kind of like the isolation and the lack of connection people are experiencing now. This might be a little bit timely, so let's check this out. Love you, and thanks for checking these out. Just trying to make a few interesting videos for you over the next few days, and well, not the next few days. What am I talking about? For the next, Digital Academy. We're here to stay. Cheers. Next slide.
Spend a lot of time on my own, so I got used to it. I'd just be sat there on my computer, either playing video games or reading articles online. I became rather withdrawn. I had next to no friends. I started to gain almost a fear of people, I suppose.
I couldn't really speak to people properly. I didn't have any confidence. I couldn't articulate my thoughts very well. I was very quiet, and I was quite paranoid about the people around me. When we were playing team games, they'd pick me last. That was an awful experience. I felt like there was something very wrong with me, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
There's so much peer pressure. Oh, have you got this new bag, or this new phone, or have you heard of this, or you've seen that? And obviously, I'm still not into half the things that normal teenagers are into today. So I felt that pressure of, I'm a complete outsider. Interacting with people was very difficult. I hadn't really had experience with just having a normal conversation with someone. I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do. I am constantly thinking, do they think I'm an idiot? Do they think I'm weird? Do they think I'm strange? All sorts of things.
When I moved to the grammar school, I found that I wasn't actually at the top.
Just a quick point. This is obviously more of a dramatic, more of a film. So maybe I'll just let it play and then talk at the end instead of cut in a bunch of times.
I was more towards the bottom. I wasn't as good as them. They were so much better than me. And it brought on a lot of anxiety. I described it like the reactions inside the sun. Because it was so intense and I didn't know what it was. It was very scary, and I remember being with my friends. I just wanted to escape. I just wanted to walk out the room, detaching myself from the environment and everything going in slow motion, finding it hard to breathe sometimes. I was in my maths lesson, and I was sitting in the middle of 2 or 3 people. I couldn't hear the things around me anymore. I could hear them, but I didn't feel like I could process anything. I was looking down at my paper and looking up and looking down again. It was like everything was just quite far away.
I think one of the worst times that I felt most anxious was in English class. So having to stand up and read this book felt so anxious I just completely froze. And I just couldn't get the words out physically. Like they were on the end of my tongue, but they were stuck. So I stood there for about 2 minutes. So I just sat down, and for the next half an hour of that lesson, I was just stuck in my own head in that classroom. I physically felt sick. I felt like I was in a sauna as well. I started sweating. My heart was going 70,000 miles an hour. It physically hurt.
At first it started happening maybe once every so often, and then it started increasing to once a week until I got to the point where it was happening every day. I was feeling like that all the time. Actually, a lot of people didn't believe me, or they thought I was just being a teenager. This is normal. It got worse after that, and I withdrew from my GCSEs and didn't do them due to the severity of my mental health.
Yeah. Common story.
So I just had this overwhelming feeling of, I'm really alone right now. This is absolutely awful. And it all just built up and physically wound me up. I almost felt like a jack in the box sometimes. and how someone's slowly winding the handle slowly and slowly and slowly until I'm just going to pop.
And I thought that I don't really deserve to live because I felt stressed out when I just looked at the books. I feel like a terrible human being. And then I took an overdose. I got a fast track into CAMHS, and then things started changing for the better. First I saw a key worker who I think did an assessment on me, and then I got to see a psychiatrist, and then for over the next few months I got to see both of them. At first it was weekly, then it was once every 2 weeks, and then it was once every month or so. That actually helped a lot because I felt supported. I felt like I could talk about things, I felt like I could just letting things out, it just a release of emotions. People were listening to me. It felt like I was allowed to be unwell. And they got me to a state where I could start doing things again, or could start making my own choices and helping myself get better.
It helped just to be able to talk to somebody. I could sit there and talk for the hour. I was just trying to explain to her how hard it was. I have very few friends. I feel like I'm near enough terrified of people, and it's incredibly hard. All the emotions and all the thoughts and everything constantly whirling around. At some points I just felt near enough physically dizzy. While I was talking, those normal fears of being scared and being worried about people, I didn't feel any of that anymore. I could let all this out because there was someone that not only was there but wanted to be there.
That was not at all what I expected that to be. I thought that was going to be way more about like what is going on in the brain during depression. But that was most certainly interesting, and I think it really hits home on the idea of like one of the difficult things with depression is how much it feels incredibly alienating and isolating and individual, and yet it's such a common experience. It's such that feeling of not wanting to look dumb in front of other people. Like everyone can relate to that feeling. The feeling of wanting acceptance, wanting to be on a team. Those are as basic of human emotions as there are the fear of public speaking or just in general. That's just the same thing as the fear of, looking dumb in front of people. It's just a different version, right? Why would you be afraid of public speaking? You're not afraid of doing an amazing job. You're afraid of something going wrong, and that's one of the ways to get better at public speaking is to understand that one of the reasons that you're struggling with it is that fear. And that once you get over some of that kind of biological stress response, then, or not even get over it, but just learn how to publicly speak despite it or while taming it, then you become a master of the Digital Academy presentation skills. I don't know, whatever. All right, cheers.